Hello to all our audience tuning into our channel. We're so glad to have you with us. Stay tuned for exciting content. Let's get started.
Alfred is recovering in the hospital after being stabbed by someone he knows. Detective visits to investigate, but Alfred refuses to identify his attacker, claiming it was too dark to see clearly. When pressed about revealing the truth, Alfred explains that his attacker, Reggie, is an old army mate. Despite nearly being killed, Alfred maintains loyalty to his former comrade and insists that if anyone deals with Reggie, it should be him personally, not the police. Alfred is determined to find out why Reggie stabbed him, as this betrayal from a trusted friend deeply troubles him. Bruce Wayne is present, showing concern for Alfred's well-being.
The scene opens with a mysterious doctor speaking to a patient who has just awakened. The patient, who appears to be Fish Mooney, has been unconscious since the previous night and is suffering from a head injury. Dr. Francis Dulmacher, the founder of the facility, introduces himself and reveals that this is some kind of medical institution. Fish Mooney, who had previously taken control of the basement and held a guard hostage before removing her own eye, proposes an alliance. She claims to have been Carmine Falcone's top lieutenant for 10 years and demonstrates her capabilities by bringing the facility to a standstill within a week. Fish Mooney offers to become Dulmacher's right-hand man, suggesting she would be more valuable as an ally than an enemy. Dulmacher appears intrigued by the proposition and mentions that they have replaced Fish Mooney's eye, though not with the original color due to limited stock. The scene establishes a power dynamic between the two characters and hints at the facility's dark nature, involving organ procurement and medical procedures. Commissioner Loeb orchestrates the release of Detective Arnold Flass, who was facing murder charges. Despite having solid evidence, including the murder weapon with Flass's fingerprints, a mysterious witness provided by Loeb clears Flass of all charges. Detective Gordon and DA Harvey Dent are outraged by this corruption, especially when they learn that Loeb plans to back Flass for president of the Policemen's Union. The case demonstrates Loeb's control over the justice system and his ability to manipulate outcomes. Flass celebrates his freedom and upcoming union campaign, showing no remorse for his actions. The chapter reveals the depth of corruption within the GCPD, with Loeb using his position to protect criminal cops and maintain his power structure. Gordon's determination to fight this corruption sets up future conflicts, while Dent expresses concern about going against such a powerful figure. The revelation that Loeb provided the witness shows how deeply embedded the corruption runs, extending beyond simple police misconduct to active obstruction of justice at the highest levels of law enforcement. Detective Harvey Bullock reveals why he provided false testimony to exonerate Flass. Under pressure from Gordon, Bullock admits that Commissioner Loeb forced him to lie or face losing his job and potential imprisonment. Bullock confesses to a dark secret. He killed someone on Loeb's orders years ago, unlike Gordon's situation with Cobblepot, who survived. Bullock explains that he was given an ultimatum by his sergeant to either kill a mobster or be killed himself. This revelation shows how Loeb maintains control over his officers through blackmail and coercion. Bullock warns Gordon that half the cops in the GCPD have similar cobblepots, people they were ordered to kill, and Loeb has evidence on all of them. This systematic corruption runs much deeper than Gordon initially realized. When Gordon declares his intention to end this cycle, Bullock warns him that going after Loeb would be suicide. The chapter also includes a subplot involving Nigma discussing human attraction through pheromones, suggesting his interest in someone who was dating Flass. The revelations about Loeb's control methods explain why so many officers remain loyal to him despite his corruption. Harvey Dent and Jim Gordon develop a plan to destroy Loeb's power by finding and eliminating his cache of blackmail evidence. They theorize that Loeb's control extends beyond the police department to businessmen and politicians. The key to their plan involves finding someone Loeb might have trusted with his secrets. They learn about Loeb's deceased wife, who died under suspicious circumstances 20 years ago after allegedly falling downstairs. To gather more information, they approach Joe Griggs, Loeb's former partner from his detective days. Initially resistant, Griggs essentially reveals that if someone wanted to keep something safe, Loeb always recommended Shi Lu, a Chinese bookkeeper on Huron Street. This information provides Gordon and Dent with their first real lead in locating Loeb's evidence cache. The chapter establishes the stakes of their mission. They're not just fighting police corruption, but potentially an entire network of compromised officials. The mention of Loeb's wife's suspicious death adds another layer to his criminal activities, suggesting he may have committed murder to protect his secrets. The partnership between Gordon and Dent represents hope for justice in a corrupted system.
In the medical facility, Fish Mooney returns to the basement prisoners after promising to negotiate their freedom. However, she has made a deal with Dr. Dolmacher to provide him with a steady supply of organs in exchange for her position of authority. Fish betrays her fellow prisoners by selecting some of them to be taken for organ harvesting, claiming their sacrifice will ensure others' survival. This devastating betrayal shows Fish's ruthless pragmatism and willingness to sacrifice others for her own advancement. Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne visits Alfred in the hospital and reveals his theory about why Alfred was attacked. Bruce believes the attack was connected to his investigation into Wayne Enterprises' board of directors. He discovers that some of his files are missing and suspects Alfred's attacker was looking for specific information. Bruce feels responsible for Alfred's injury and is determined to track down the attacker to uncover who hired him. Selina Kyle appears and offers to help, but Bruce refuses, not wanting to put anyone else in danger. The chapter demonstrates Bruce's growing sense of responsibility and his methodical approach to solving problems, while Fish's actions show the moral compromises people make for survival and power.
Gordon and Dent visit Shi Lu's establishment, seeking information about Commissioner Loeb's evidence cache. When they mention Loeb's name, Shi Lu initially denies knowing him, but becomes suspicious when they threaten to involve multiple attorneys and confiscate his money. The situation quickly turns dangerous when Shi Lu reveals he knows their identities and has been expecting them. Armed men attack Gordon and Dent, forcing them to fight their way out. Harvey Bullock arrives just in time to help them escape, explaining that he couldn't let them face the danger alone, despite his own compromised position. The ambush reveals that their investigation has been compromised. Joe Griggs set them up, and now Loeb knows they're actively seeking his blackmail files. Under pressure from Bullock's interrogation methods, Griggs reveals that the only person who knows where Loeb keeps his evidence is Carmine Falcone, indicating a partnership between the crime boss and the corrupt commissioner. This revelation significantly raises the stakes, as they now face opposition from both corrupt law enforcement and organized crime. The chapter demonstrates the extensive network protecting Loeb's secrets and the personal risks Gordon and his allies face in their pursuit of justice.
Following a lead from Penguin, Gordon and Bullock visit a remote farm where Loeb allegedly keeps his blackmail files. They meet an elderly couple, Jude and Marge, who have been caretakers of the property for 20 years since Loeb bought it. The couple appears harmless, with Marge being a former Arkham nurse and Jude a former railroad worker. However, the situation becomes dangerous when the couple becomes suspicious of the detective's presence and Marge attacks them with a weapon. During the confrontation, Gordon and Bullock discover Miriam Loeb, the commissioner's daughter, living in the upper floors of the house. Miriam reveals disturbing information about her mother's death, admitting that she killed her own mother with a candlestick because she was jealous that her mother was getting attention on what Miriam considered her night. This revelation explains why Loeb has kept his daughter hidden away for 20 years, not just to protect his reputation, but to keep her out of Arkham Asylum. The chapter shows the personal cost of Loeb's corruption and the tragic circumstances that may have contributed to his descent into criminal behavior as he tries to protect his mentally ill daughter.
The chapter reveals the full extent of Miriam Loeb's mental illness and the lengths her father has gone to protect her. Miriam demonstrates her disturbed psychology by showing Gordon and Bullock jewelry she makes from bird bones, describing how she catches birds and crushes their heads. She relates this to how she killed her mother, explaining that she used a candlestick because her mother wouldn't stop singing on what Miriam considered her special night. The revelation that Loeb's daughter is a murderer with serious mental health issues explains his vulnerability to corruption and blackmail. Meanwhile, there's a subplot involving Edward Nygma being disappointed when he learns that Kristen Kringle is dating someone new named Tom, who also enjoys riddles. The chapter also shows Penguin examining Loeb's files during his promised 5 minutes alone with them, suggesting he's gathering information for future use. During a violent confrontation at the farm, Jude and Marge are killed, and Penguin helps Gordon and Bullock escape. The chapter establishes that Loeb's corruption stems partly from his desperate need to protect his daughter and keep her from being institutionalized, adding a tragic dimension to his character.
The final chapter brings resolution to the Loeb storyline. Gordon confronts Commissioner Loeb about his daughter Miriam, acknowledging that while she killed her mother, she is mentally ill and didn't understand the full consequences of her actions. Gordon realizes that Loeb's corruption and blackmail operations stem from his love for his daughter and his determination to keep her out of Arkham Asylum. Rather than expose Miriam, Gordon uses this knowledge as leverage against Loeb. He forces the commissioner to ensure that Flass receives a fair trial and demands that all blackmail evidence on GCPD officers be turned over to Harvey Dent for proper prosecution. However, Loeb refuses to give up all the files, fearing for his life if he loses all his leverage, but agrees to release Bullock's file specifically. The chapter ends with Gordon receiving Bullock's complete file and Bullock reflecting on how one bad deed can never be erased by good deeds afterward. Meanwhile, back at the medical facility, Fish Mooney is promoted to upper management after successfully demonstrating her ability to provide organs, while Penguin warns Gordon to be careful about the favor he now owes him. The chapter concludes with partial justice achieved, but suggests that the corruption runs too deep to be completely eliminated.